November's here, and that means it's time for change. Hello again, and welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. I am your host, Jason, and I'm back at it after taking a weekend off and spending it with my wife during our anniversary. We had a very nice, relaxing vacation just over in the Door County, Algoma area, and it was just nice to be away for a little bit and just relax and take in some of the sights and sounds of Wisconsin. And to be close to Lake Michigan is always a treat for us. We live in central Wisconsin, so to get over there and spend some time by the lake and just take in the sounds of the crashing waves and stuff is always just kind of a special treat for us. So we enjoyed our time over there. And I'm happy to be back and happy to be kicking off here another week of the podcast. And I hope you're having a good start to November. The biggest change since the end of October into November has been the time. The end of daylight savings time came with that first weekend in November, and that means that shift in time. And you know what I mean? We've gone from driving to work in the dark and coming home in the light to the exact opposite now. It has its benefits. Like for me, getting the kids off to school has been a little bit nicer because there is light now when they get on the bus. But when you come home, it gets a little bit darker and a little bit darker every day. It seems lately that we jumped right into winter. You know, usually we get this nice, easy transition from fall into winter. And if you tie that cold and snow in with the time change, it makes getting outdoors in the evening a little challenging. And that's why on this podcast, I wanted to offer you a few tips to help you escape the indoors and get outside during this transitional period. Because as we all know, we keep losing more and more daylight as we get closer to Christmas. And around that Christmas time, around the 21st, 22nd of December, our days start getting longer again. So we've got about a month and a half now of the days getting a little bit darker, a little earlier, and we've got to learn how to deal with that and how to get through that, and that's what I want to help you with today. I want to help you to figure out a way to enjoy as much of that daylight as you can during this early winter season. I always enjoy getting outside after work. I work an office job and I don't get outside as much as I'd like to during the day. You know, there's times when it's a nice afternoon, I can get outside for lunch, maybe have my lunch outside. But for the most part, with a short lunch hour, it doesn't really offer me a lot of time to get outside during my workday. Now, with it being dark by the time I get home, it really makes it tough for me to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. Now, depending on where you live, you may be able to get out and go for a walk. And I'm talking about, those of you that might live in a city where there's street lights and sidewalks and you can walk pretty safely without having to worry about traffic or being too dark. But if you live out in a rural area like I do, it can be kind of difficult to get out and walk. There's no lights, there's no sidewalks, so you're just kind of stuck on this dark country road, and it can be dangerous. And especially this time of year, you've got farmers out there finishing up the harvest, and once they get done with that, they're doing other field work, and there's a lot of traffic on some of these country roads and side roads, and it's not safe sometimes. Now, you could wear a lighted vest and reflective tape and do all that stuff, but even then, it can be a little scary and it can be really cold, and that's why it might be a better option to get your daily outdoor fix in the morning. So let's say that you're a person who likes to go for a walk or get outside in the evenings, and that's been your routine pretty much all spring, summer, and fall. Well, now it might be too dark to do that. So maybe if you can readjust your schedule a little bit so that you're getting up in the morning a little bit earlier, maybe before work, and getting out that door and getting that walk in as the sun is coming up. And just by readjusting your schedule, you might be able to go for a walk when it is just light enough. And you'll also be able to enjoy the peace of the morning and get a dose of that cool, almost cold, fresh air to start your day. And I don't know if you've noticed, it's already pretty peaceful and quiet on these cold mornings. The birds aren't around anymore. At least most of them aren't. The mornings are really still and really quiet. So there's something to be said about kicking your day off by getting out there right away in the morning and getting some exercise, or just going for a short walk, or just sitting outside and enjoying that cup of coffee as the sun comes up. And it can be as easy as just adjusting your schedule and how you're doing it. Just be aware that it might be a little bit colder in the morning, so you're going to want to bundle up before you head out the door. Now, if you're lucky enough to get an hour lunch break during the workday, then this is the perfect opportunity to get some sun. Instead of driving to pick up lunch, pack your lunch and take the rest of your lunch hour and go for a walk. You don't have to spend the whole hour outside, but even to get outside for 15 minutes is really going to help your mood and maybe give you enough energy to get through the rest of your workday. Instead of taking your lunch hour and driving or go sitting in a restaurant and eating, maybe you can walk to a restaurant, or maybe you can pack your own lunch that day and just take a walk. And even if you do this a few times a week, you're going to be surprised at how much better you're going to feel. And there's just something that you feel good when you can get outside for a little bit and take in some of that fresh air. And again, if you're lucky enough to have an hour lunch, and even a half an hour, if you can make a half an hour work just to get outside for 10 minutes and enjoy it, you'll just feel good about knowing you took that time for yourself. You know, sometimes you just need that little bit of time to clear your head and get through the rest of the day, and this is a perfect way to do it. I'm a big fan of taking those lunch walks, and when I can, I do. So I know the benefits that I got from doing it. I mean, I just felt better. I felt energized. I felt good about being able to get out there and getting a few minutes outdoors during my day, especially if you're a person who's an office worker like me, and it makes it tough to get outside during the day. This is a perfect opportunity to take advantage of that. Now that the weekdays offer very little time to enjoy daylight, it really makes your weekends that much more important. And I think sometimes we as Wisconsinites take summer for granted a little bit. I mean, we have light from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., and that gives us so many opportunities to get out and enjoy the outdoors. You can go for a morning walk, you can go fishing in the afternoon, and you can sit outside by the fire as the sun's going down. It just, your whole day can be outside, and you can really enjoy that time. But now, as the days are shorter, that just means we've got to take full advantage of those weekends. And when the weekend gets here, we need to be ready for that. And that means you got to do some planning. You don't want to waste your weekend trying to figure out what you're going to do for the weekend. So why not use those dark hours during the weekday to figure out what you're going to do during the weekend? It's the perfect time for you to do some planning and really get ahead during your week so that when the weekend gets here, you're ready to hit the ground running and enjoy as much of the day as you can. And another tip that I want to give you to help get your weekend started is do some of your normal weekend chores during the week. If you're like me, we do a lot of laundry during the weekend, we clean the house, we vacuum. Try to move some of those chores into your evening weekdays, because it's just going to give you more time to get out on the weekend. You're not going to have to spend half the morning on a Saturday morning doing those chores if you've already got them done by Thursday night or Friday night. And by doing this, you're going to be able to take full advantage of all that sunlight that is here during the weekends. This is really a great time of year in Wisconsin. It's one of my favorite times of year, and taking advantage of it can be a little tricky, but you'll find with a little bit of adjusting and a little planning, you can really make the most out of the shorter daylight. One of the bonuses of the sun going down so fast is the sunsets. If you're not out there enjoying some of these fall sunsets, you're really missing out. So you don't have to stay up until 8, 9 o'clock to see these fantastic sunsets. They're happening at 5 o'clock, about the time you're getting home. So if there's one benefit out of the shorter daylight, it's that the sunsets are ready for you when you get home. So take some time, look at your schedule, look at the way you're doing things, and try to take advantage of that daylight that we have, because it is so important for you to get out there and enjoy that. And if you're able to keep doing your routine in the evenings, if you live in a city or you know it's safely that you can walk or do something outside in the evenings, then keep doing it. But please be safe and please be smart about what you're doing. The opportunities are there for you to get out in the outdoors. You just need to get out and enjoy them as you head out to be one of Wisconsin's outdoor explorers. Thanks again for joining me. I'm your host, Jason, and I'll talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening to the Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. For more great information about being an outdoor explorer, visit our website at wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer.com. Be sure to check out the blog page and follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.